Hey, thank you guys all for coming tonight. Couple of quick notes before we start. The restroom is down this hallway here. I haven't been, but I hear it's easy to find. This is a pretty informal thing. If you want to get up and get more pizza, soda, water while we're having the meeting, feel free, please. Thank you to Jeremiah, who arranged this beautiful setting here. The Regas building is home to the Knoxville Leadership Foundation, where he works. Well, here, I'll let you jump in.
The Regas building is home to the Knoxville Leadership Foundation. Where I work. Sam Swinson-Reinhold also works here in the building, so yeah, nothing really. But this space is available for like corporate stuff as well as like for fun gatherings. So there's a lot of like different meeting spaces as well as Potchki, which is a Jewish pastry shop in the space next door here. So yeah, cool stuff. So yeah, thanks.
So I want to thank all of you guys for coming tonight. This is our first annual Knoxville Ultimate Community Meeting. We're really excited to see such a good turnout. We're excited to hear the ideas that you have to improve our community, and we're excited to celebrate with you guys our successes over the past year and everything we've done as a community. So without further ado, a little note about how the meeting is going to work. We've got a little presentation arranged for you guys to talk about the board, who we are, what we do, what we've done, what we plan to do. And after that presentation, we're going to have a 10-minute break so you guys can get more pizza, please, go to the restroom, do whatever you need to do. And then we're going to have a moderated question and answer session. Big thank you to Adam Belt for volunteering his skills and his time here. He has lots of experience with community building events and public forums, so we appreciate his contribution this evening.
Yeah.
We are the board of directors for Knoxville Ultimate. My name is Jenny Newby. I'm the president of the board. I've been playing Ultimate in Knoxville since 2013, and I have been on the board since 2018. This will been the president of the board for a little over a year. So I'm going to let the rest of the board introduce themselves. Board.
Sure. I'm Jeremiah Branson. I've been playing Ultimate in Knoxville since 2012, starting in KYU. And then I've been on the board since 2020, and I'm the secretary for the board.
I'm Mark Stevie. I've been playing in Knoxville since 1993. And I'm treasurer.
Joe's not here. He's vice president. He's been playing forever. KYU, all that. I'm Mitch. You guys all know me because I'm the league coordinator for the board. So I've been playing since 2014 in Knoxville, and I've been on the board since 2020.
We are currently accepting applications for new board members. Those application, you can find the link to the application on Instagram, Facebook, our website, maybe our website, the email.
Soon.
That came out, yes, soon the website. We'll be accepting applications until Friday. We're looking for people with a diverse range of skills. So if you feel like you have something that would improve our board, or if you're interested in learning more about what it takes to be a board member, please come talk to us. We would love to have you. That said, so a little bit about our organization. We have been an organization in some form or fashion since at least 2002. Mark, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
That's about it.
Okay, we've been running leagues, or there have been Ultimate leagues in Knoxville since the late 90s, 98.
Yeah, well, there's been pickup all the time, but the first league I think started in 2000, 2001.
We were incorporated as a nonprofit in 2020. We are one of our big milestones that we were excited about. We are an LLC. We're a limited liability corporation, which means most nonprofits are LLCs. It just means that we, as board members, cannot get compensation for our time. We don't receive a salary from Knoxville Ultimate, and legally we are protected from direct liability if something were to happen. The nitty-gritty of nonprofit work can be explained to you by Jeremiah, who has a degree in it. So.
At a later date.
At a later date, yeah. What that basically means practically is that we fill out an application to the state of Tennessee. We have to submit an annual report to the Secretary of State's office. We have a federal employer identification number. We send reports to the IRS. We're official, y'all. As a board, we have 4 core values that we are always looking to further in the decisions that we make. In no particular order, with the exception of this first one, because safety always comes first. We will always put the safety of our league participants and our community members above all else when it comes to decisions regarding league formats, weather decisions, all of that. So that is priority number 1. Spirit. We want to be a community that is fun. We want to be a community that is respectful. We want to be a community that shows sportsmanship and really embodies the values that the whole sport of ultimate is based on. We want to foster competition. We want to serve players at all competition levels. So if you're a brand new player just learning the rules, we want to teach you the game and make you love the game as much as we all do. And if you are a player looking to grow and expand beyond our local leagues, we want to support people in those endeavors as well. We want nationals caliber players coming out of Knoxville, and we have them.
Yeah, we do.
And then community is a big priority of ours. So supporting each other within our Knoxville community, supporting other ultimate communities in the region, and being an integral part of our broader Knoxville, Maryville, Alcoa, Johnson City, Chattanooga, East Tennessee community. And we'll talk a little bit later on about some of our community efforts and how we engage with the community outside of the sport of ultimate. All right, I'm going to pass it on over to Mitchell, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about all of our leagues that we ran this year.
Yeah. So this year, we had 6 year-round leagues that were put on by Knoxville Ultimate. Jeremiah's brand new winter indoor, winter goal tee, spring development league, our mixed summer league, our open summer league, and fall league just wrapped up. I think a lot of you guys were there for that final.
We have all our champions listed here.
Yeah.
Do we have any league champions in the room?
I can test.
All in all, across those 6 leagues, we had approximately 700 league registrations. Obviously not unique, but 700 total registrations across those 6 leagues. And the coolest number I think here is 25% of spring development players were new to Knoxville Ultimate. And then we experimented with some new formats. Indoor league was a new format over what it had been previously, and then of course fall league was a unique format. So you guys saw the survey that went out at the end of summer league for the mixed league. We had a 48% response rate, which if anybody's ever done surveying before, that's insanely high.
Thank you.
So thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much to everybody who completed it. The goals for the survey were to understand who's playing in Knoxville Ultimate, provide a chance for anonymous feedback, and to evaluate the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to the organization through the league format. A SWOT survey is a pretty standard thing. Jumping right into it, demographic data, kind of what you expected from an 11-4 format. It's almost 70% male. Other respondents, player age. Again, I put an asterisk on this and say respondents. It's from primarily 21 to 30-year-olds.
Damn, I'm in a
Very
new
easy
bracket.
people.
And then our player experience. You can see there's a wide range of years of experience, but quite a few people who are new to Knoxville Ultimate within the last 2 years were playing with us. Overall league satisfaction. Registration can always be better. It was a brand new system. It didn't go off without a hitch. So there's 10% of people really didn't enjoy it. Communication, we could always be better in communication. People wanted to hear more. The comments were saying, we want to hear more from league leadership directly, not just our captains. However, the overall running of the league and how quickly we adapted, how quickly we moved on things, or I should say, Ben, our commissioner for mixed summer league back there, how quickly he moved on things, really was viewed positively with a lot of good recommendations for improvement. The end of season tournament, satisfaction was decently high with the tournament. There was some problems with the championship brackets. A lot of that had to do with our field layouts. We were ejected at 7 o'clock the morning of the tournament from Victor Ashe and moved over to a different field layout. So some of the round timings people weren't happy with. But then league spirit and the relaying of expectations to captains about the level of competition in the end of season tournament was rated fairly poorly, with about 35% of respondents giving us below a 70% on that. A lot of the comments said things that like they felt there was a club level use of the rules over a rec level, meaning, not being flexible to a fellow community member, but kind of treating it more like we're in nationals. If you're at 71 seconds, I'm going to start on a timeout. I'm going to start assessing points. That's a general example, not a specific one. Community satisfaction. So besides just the league, how do people feel about our community? 85% of people feel welcome and included. Add in those 10% who are neutral, and we're up to 95%. However, I'd love to see that hit 100%, even if that's unrealistic. All skill levels, for the most part, feel welcomed. And 75% of people said they would sign up for next summer league. Not sures were counted as people who were like, I don't know if I'm going to be living here. And no's, about half of those no's were, I'm moving, I'll never see you again, bye. So the overall strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths, we have a community that cares. The fact that we had almost 50% respondent rate meant people care about what's going on with our organization. Satisfaction is high, and something that wasn't on the survey, but I put in there, is our relationship with the city of Knoxville is phenomenal. The guy who oversees Parks and Rec is already holding the fields for us, even though we haven't given him dates yet.
Ooh.
So we have a really, really strong relationship with the city. Weaknesses, direct communication from league leadership to the players, and our recruiting pipelines. People want to see us recruiting more new players, more players from KYU. Opportunities. We have an opportunity always to increase our community-wide engagement. How we're engaging with you guys with things like this. How we're hosting other events, hat tournaments. I know Nashville has a hat tournament hosted by Nashville Ultimate Machine, not the college, or not Vandy. So things like that. And then having community days, hosting pickup of various levels. So it's not unofficial, whoever put a group meet together, but more organizationally, the board has booked a field or something like that and puts out pickup events. That's a good opportunity. And then the threats, the big two, new player retention and rec player retention. In the last 2 years, that and especially in the survey responses, a lot of rec level players were motivated to do the survey because they were unhappy with the competition level and felt like they did not belong in the organization. And then the last one that I saw a couple of times in there was people wanted to make sure that we weren't going to stop making progress. Don't get complacent. So That's what we're looking at. Progress we've made so far. Sorry, I get the longest section because leagues are like 95% of what we do. Progress based on the feedback. Registration. We've already implemented a new e-commerce tool. I don't know if you guys noticed that. You could pay with credit card, debit card, whatever needed. Good news for our organization, it's a cheaper fee structure than PayPal. You have broader payment compatibility, and I'll say it's better correlated. It's not perfect yet. I still spent a lot of time matching people with their payments. We're getting there. The improvements on that are coming from our digital marketing firm who's working with us. Communication, if you guys are here, you probably saw that we're using an email marketing tool now to manage our information distribution, as well as all of you guys. We have a 500-person email database that we're spamming once a month.
Twice.
Twice.
Person.
Okay. Oh, we probably forgot to turn off the following tag. Okay, anyways, I'll make a note of
We
that.
continue to make improvements.
Continue to make
Learning
improvements.
and
Yep.
growing.
It's a better solution than cross-posting to 3 or 4 different Facebook groups, 2 GroupMe channels, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, Parler, Truth Social, all of it. League-wide emails went out every week for Fall League to help supplement your captain's information in case your captain wasn't getting you things. And we're planning to have monthly email distributions with just what's going on, when are registration dates, what are the leagues coming up, what other events that we can hopefully host. So that's it for a league recap.
Thank you.
Yeah, and financial report is pretty.
Just click, yeah.
Yeah, so the financial report is pretty easy. We have the summer league budget was fairly close to the actual expenditures. Oh, thank you. Sorry, they're dragging me along. So the league budget, we don't have fall league up, but you can see that the field rentals pretty close to what we had budgeted. There's not really a whole lot to say other than the miscellaneous stuff was a little bit more and the overhead was a little bit more. And the swag, thanks to Michael.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I don't know anything else to say on that really, to be honest. Oh, yeah. So the league dues cover the field rentals, the team jerseys, the liability insurance, the championship swag, the end of season tournament supplies, and the social, and the organizational overhead, which was from Emblazo, right?
It's from a lot of different things. Like it costs money to host a website. This room rental, the pizza, just all of that kind of overhead that exists in an organization.
We have in the past done a little bit of like Facebook marketing to try to reach specific women,
Yeah.
to sign up for league. So we've done a little bit of that in the past. It also covers, like I said, our annual fees for our nonprofit status to the state and things like that. So a lot of little stuff that goes into our overhead and running the organization.
And anytime we have things like we had weeks canceled, so the city refunds us field dues, it just gets dumped into that overhead category for kind of a rainy day fund, right? Like our first league back from COVID, the city had bumped up cost of fields by I think like $5 or $10 a field a night, and so we hadn't budgeted for that. So it was nice to have a little cushion to eat that. So.
And we always try to keep enough money in the bank to cover some of the expenses of league that happen before league dues come in. So it's nice to have a little bit of capital to spend when we need it. All right, thank you, Mark. Community engagement.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about community engagement. Two big things that we want to hear from you guys tonight is obviously like league structure and how leagues work, but also community engagement in ways that we can be better. Like we will be the first to say that we're not doing community engagement super well. which is why we have all these sitting in front of us now. So definitely want to hear more ideas on that tonight. But ways that we're doing it now is the biggest one is just support of local business. Through all of our league socials, we do our social at a different place each week. The last two, it's been at places where we had a connection there. So we had a connection with the owner, Valley Ray. We got discounts there to send all of us there each week after Summer League. And then at Crafty Bastard, we had the connection to Tariq with his food truck, right? So we're always looking for more of those. So if you know people that own restaurants or work at breweries or any connection anywhere, like we would love to know about those so that we can try to support. Through jerseys, Denmark's company, Nowhere Designs, made our jerseys this year. So we always are going to be looking to support in that way. But also in the past, we've done logo sponsorships and put business logos on our Summer League jerseys. And we would be happy to do that again in the future if you know or have your own company and want to throw us some money for that. So, but those are the two main ways. Seriously, we have a huge community, and so I know that people know people. And so we want to get connected to local businesses and people that we can partner with and do some sponsorship stuff to support by us going and taking part in their business, but also wearing their logo and different things like that. So that'd be a big thing that if you know people to let us know. The second way is club teams. We have a lot of people that are playing club in Knoxville and East Tennessee. So I listed kind of the main ones here. There are more, obviously, that we do. But Knox Fusion, the women's team, from this past year finished 4th at regionals. Obviously, they're doing very well. Tennessee Tanasi Open Club team also finished 4th at regionals this past year. Nashvilleans U20 YCC, they only lost 1 game at nationals. And then University of Tennessee men's and women's teams, they have 22 years that they've had teams over there. So we have a lot of people that are playing in our leagues that are also going and playing and representing Knoxville around the country. And so we try to be as supportive of them as we can through social media posts, through just staying in contact with the players on those teams. Those players often reach out to us for different things like field space connections, and that's either us just connecting them to the city contact or kind of wrapping them under our insurance of Knoxville Ultimate for them to be able to use those fields. Social media posts, tournament help. We've had members of the board TD at tournaments hosted by the local university teams. So trying our best to support our league members who are going and playing elsewhere. But we want to be better about that too. We want to have a greater connection with KYU and support our youth players more, but also individuals, going and playing for club teams that are not just East Tennessee players. East Tennessee teams as well. So those are our two main areas of community engagement. Like I said, we really welcome ideas in that regard from whatever you guys got later on. So.
All right.
And so what's coming? The first of the two big things is we're gonna finally finish the website overhaul. As you've seen since Summer League, there's been like new hints of new pages popping up. Imblazo has said they're going to be finishing that by the end of 2022. We'll have a formal launch of the whole new site, which will have lots of features like information about how, when, and where you can play. So basically listing club teams, links to KYU, links to the college teams' websites. If Tanasi has a website, they should get one. I know a digital marketing company, Twitter, that kind of thing. Links so that those guys can be found easily. Members of our community will have site profiles. If you guys have ever gone to Asheville for one of their tournaments, you'll know that you have a profile with Asheville Ultimate now. If you paid a bid fee with them, anything like that. Similar things so that you can log in, you can put information about yourself if you want, that kind of thing.
So multi-use website, really.
Oh no.
Oh, no, it took me a long time to see where you're going.
And then a calendar of events that is kept updated. So what's going on with KU, what's going on with our leagues, announcements of registration windows, and then the active pickup game schedule. And then the big one, 2023 league planning is well underway. So winter, I call it winter 2023. It's the first 3 months of 2023. It's winter. It's cold here. We have winter goaltee.
Yeah, we just got confirmation on field space today. The dates are, here's your sneak preview. This will go out on our social media tomorrow. But our dates for Winter Ultimate at Sampson Sports Complex down the road, January 4th through March 8th. Wednesday nights. Be there.
It might
Be cold. Be excited.
Very cool.
Indoor is back.
Let's go, baby!
Got anything?
Not really. We have the same contact that we had last year at that indoor field space at the Crestplex. So if you didn't play last year, we had a 5v5 indoor league on an indoor turf
Very sus.
place. Each week, teams typically had 2 games, sometimes 1 depending on the schedule. So we had an odd number of teams show up, play for 30 minutes, 5v5. So it was really competitive. It was really fun. Planning on doing it again.
And I don't see Brennan here, but if you checked Instagram today, Mall is Maryville Alcoa Ultimate, which is kind of a little sister organization to us. Yeah, they use our insurance. They use our insurance, and we're helping that organization along. Brandon Clackham is organizing a 4v4 basketball court indoor down in Maryville Alcoa. So fill out that interest survey and encourage people you know in Maryville Alcoa to do it as well, because that's what we really want to see. We want to see those numbers go up and not just 80% of Knoxville going down to Maryville. So
Don't go.
spring 2023. No, definitely go, help them out, but also encourage your friends you know down there. Spring 2023 Development League will be back. Summer 2023, our True Mixed League. It's got to be True Mixed this year. That was a huge feedback point on the survey. So go recruit women. Go recruit women. Open, maybe a new format on Thursday. That's still in the works. So we'll talk about that more when it comes up. And then fall is going to be mixed again.
Yay!
Because
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah, that's what
So it says 5-2.
Well,
So-
hopefully we retain all the women that we recruit to
Yes.
the summer league, and fall will also be a true mix.
Fingers crossed.
That's the dream.
Those eardrums.
And registration opens very, very soon on those 3 winter leagues. So
All right, it's break time. Grab some pizza, grab some drinks, say hello to the friends that you didn't say hello to when you came in. We're gonna meet back up here in like 10 minutes, and then Adam is gonna start our Q&A session.
So, hey everybody. If you don't know me, you probably recognize my voice. You probably heard it from 3 fields over, yelling batshit crazy stuff during leagues.
Censor.
My name is Adam Velk. I've been playing Knoxville Ultimate for about 2 years now. Ultimate Frisbee for 11 or 12. I'm going to be moderating the Q&A. Now, as far as it goes, the purpose of this Q&A is to allow community members, yourselves, with varying degrees of experience, ability, knowledge, backgrounds, the opportunity to share their thoughts on various topics revolving around Knoxville Ultimate. This will allow board members to hear from members of their community that they have not heard from, and hear opinions from people outside their own ultimate social circles. And I think we're all pretty aware that we've got our own social circles, that we don't normally hang around outside of that. So this gives us an opportunity to hear outside opinions. The goal tonight is to give Knoxville Ultimate Executive Board the guidance and the direction that the community wants to see and the actions that it needs to take moving forward. Now, as far as ground rules for this moderated Q&A, I'm actually gonna, like a confident, overly comfortable professor, I'm gonna kind of sit on the table right now and go over the ground rules for everybody. First off, there's going to be a varying difference of opinion. People are going to have differences of opinion, but there will be absolutely zero toleration for disrespect. So that means be respectful to the board members here, be respectful to your fellow Knoxville Ultimate members, and most importantly, be respectful to your handsome moderator. The way it's going to work, first portion is going to be the Knoxville board members are going to sit here and they are going to be quiet. They are going to listen. I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to give everybody a short period of time to think of an answer, really ruminate on it. And then I think maybe the easiest way, maybe just a raise of the hand. I'll call on you. Please project, speak loudly so that all of us can hear, so that the camera can hear. And you're going to be able to answer that question. One person will speak at a time. You will be allowed no more than 1 minute to speak. And I know this because I will be timing you on here when you hit the 1 minute mark. To make sure everyone has an opportunity to speak, I'm going to cut you off. I ask that you respond to the question being asked and try not to respond directly to what someone else has said. This is about sharing ideas, opinions, making sure that voices are heard. During the second portion of this moderation, I'm going to ask board members questions and ask you guys to be quiet and hear what they have to say. And the third portion, if there is anything that I've missed, if there's anything as far as comments, questions, concerns that you have in general about Knoxville Ultimate or questions directed towards the board that you would like answered, we can handle that. And then lastly, if you agree with something that someone is saying, throw the snaps. I know it seems really silly, but this is a really easy way for, instead of having 15 people come up and say, God, that moderator is so handsome, one person can say it, bingo. So that way, a little bit more efficient to let people know and let the board know this is an opinion that we agree with, this is something that we really follow. And so I'm going to start off something really easy for everybody. The questions that I'm asked do have reasons behind it, but the first one is, should you feel comfortable speaking? When did you start playing Ultimate? Why did you start playing Ultimate? And what keeps you coming back to playing Ultimate, especially here in Knoxville?
Because I'm not shy. Started playing, I guess, 7 years ago because Kinner kept inviting me when we were at the coffee shop, and I showed up on a Sunday. People were super nice. Immediately invited me to come to boss practice and to go to Sean Adams, which I did do. I got a hold of Jenny and went to my first tournament like literally that weekend. And so, awesome.
Any reason you keep coming back?
No.
Got it. Anybody else? All right. Last call, unless anybody wants to share. Yeah.
You know.
In the spirit of talking, because I love it.
I started playing, I don't know, it's been many years. I started in like an intramural league in college, and no one knew what a host stack was or revert stack or what a mark was. And then I started playing in Knoxville because we played like pickup at World's Fair Park, and Daniel Ellison was like, maybe come to real pickup, and like eventually got me into a league. And then I really loved it because, and I guess this answers the question of what keeps me coming back for more. I'm a washed up athlete, so it's nice to be able to like be competitive and enjoy, the sport of hanging out, running around, and like being intense. But also, it is just like such a delightful amalgamation of weirdos. There's so many fun, bizarre people that I meet at Knoxville, and that's something that I appreciate about the boards. I feel like, as Jenny said earlier, like try to keep the spirit up, and I think that's hard to balance spirit and community and also competitive stuff. And Knoxville does a good job and I appreciate it. And let's not get complacent. Like keep doing that because that's what's really important to me.
All right, thank you so much. Anybody else? Going once, going twice.
Yes.
I'm. What's the first? I've been playing for 11 or 12 years, and I started playing because in high school my school didn't have a soccer team, and so I couldn't play soccer, and so I played frisbee, and got pretty competitive at it, or thought I was pretty competitive at it. Took it competitively. Yep. And so I, for a while, played because I am a competitive person and liked the competition and beating people. But it's not really about the competition anymore. It's more about the community and the relationships and I guess also being able to still be active, right? So what I like about it, what keeps me coming back, is that not only is there a place for everyone, but your place in the community can evolve. And you can fit in as a competitive player or as a casual player at different stages in your life.
Awesome, thank you.
I'll say something real quick, just because a lot of folks are coming out because of sports and whatnot. But I started 21 years ago in Johnson City. But the whole reason was I just moved to town. I was trying to meet people, and I think we still get that here in Knoxville. And then I stayed for the competition. Now that I'm no longer competitive, I stay for the people. So I'm sort of come full circle.
All right. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right. So this is going to be possibly a little hot button topic. What do you believe is Knoxville's biggest blind spot in terms of culture? And importantly, what are constructive solutions to fix this? Now, when I say this, obviously we really encourage people to have solutions or steps to address these problems. For this particular question, we really want to focus on culture. We're going to get to structure in just a bit. An example of this could be, I feel that we don't do a good enough job recruiting women. And one way that we do that is by making or giving all Tennessee women's team free fees to do summer league, something like that. Look for answers. So this is the problem. This is different solutions that I have. So I'll let anybody raise your hand or start it off. Boom, Kate.
This is something that has been on my mind before. I don't think that our Knoxville Ultimate community or the Ultimate community at large often reflects the socioeconomic population, cultural population of the communities where it is found. Something I like to climb, I like to skateboard, and sometimes I see a bunch of these weird little kids at the skate park, and I thought, man, what if we used places where people are gathering to recruit and show up at the skate park and skate with some kids and be like, you guys want to toss a disc around or something like that. Maybe going to places where people are already and bringing Ultimate with us, because it is so delightfully easy to bring a disc to anywhere. So maybe having do we have community outreach that is focused on, who are the people who want to go hang out in other places and play Frisbee with kids or something?
Perfect. Great. All right, who else has got comments or pieces that they want to say about Knoxville culture, Knoxville Ultimate culture?
I've found that over the years, and Mitch's figure spoke to this a little bit with 25% turnover. I think we've always had a problem with turnover. That people come out and try it, and it's not I've heard this from a lot of folks. I don't really know where it comes from necessarily, but a little bit, that we're not very welcoming, and that it's very hard to get involved. And I think the competition level is part of that. I think that it's hard for new folks to figure out how to play the game, number one. Some of the maybe not getting playing time or the other opportunities, whatever. It's very intimidating, I think, for new folks. And if they don't catch on and they're not really an athlete, they don't get someone to wrap their arm around them, then, you know, those are the easy ones, is the 6 foot tall guys that run a 3.440. and everyone wants to be their friend, you know, and hey, come on back. But I just think we've always had a high rate of turnover, more so than it's a natural thing in Knoxville anyway with the university, but we just have a really high turnover rate.
So, yeah. So, as far as I'm gonna kind of.
You want something constructive?
Well, I'm gonna kind of add to that, or direct it, moderate it. I guess it's my job. In terms of turnover rate or new players, this is an opportunity. Ideas. Do people have ideas on how we can address? Do you have any constructive ideas that you could maybe use to address that? Things that we can do to help solve that perceived problem.
I'm fairly new to Knoxville Ultimate. I started playing this summer league. But I remember seeing in one of the surveys at the end of the summer was like a workshop. If there were workshops in between leagues, I think that'd be an easy way to take newer players who maybe didn't feel familiar with the game over the summer or during fall. An easy way to kind of reach out to them and say, hey, we're hosting a workshop. Do you want to come in between leagues? So an easy way to kind of raise everybody's skill level. It's low cost, low time. Work with that. Just, I guess, workshops in between seasons.
Okay, and if you mind, I'm going to follow that and give you a follow-up question. Do you see this as maybe like in between leagues, like a one-time workshop, or maybe like a weekly thing in between the leagues?
It could be in between, just depending on interest, I guess. If you only have 10 people interested in a workshop, then 2 or 3 experienced captains or other volunteers could probably teach those people as much in a day as they could 50 people in a week.
Okay.
So it can be variable depending on how much interest you have.
Very nice. Okay, thank you very much for sharing. Beard.
Yeah. I'm going to continue on this theme.
Yeah.
I didn't start playing in Knoxville Ultimate. I started playing in Lexington. And the Summer League in particular in Lexington was very much a teaching league. I feel like we don't teach in any of our leagues. So there's almost an expectation that people do understand what a host deck is, what a verse deck is, what a force side is, and we've got newcomers who've never played who haven't touched a disc before.
Okay. So I'm going to follow you up with just one more a follow-up to that. How did Lexington kind of address this kind of teaching league or learning league?
So, like right now in Knoxville, if we have, say, a foul is called on the field, the discussion happens between experienced players who know what the rules are, and everyone else just kind of sitting there going, "What the just happened?" And we would take the opportunity then to explain those parts of the rules, but also like there was a very intentional attitude and atmosphere on the field before games. They talked about how the game worked, and during the game there were explanations.
Okay.
There weren't assumptions about people's skills and knowledge and abilities.
And then was this typically led by the captains? Was this like each captain?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily? Okay.
No. I mean, it was just the league attitude.
Got it. Okay. Anyone else on this particular subject? Yes.
One thing I would say as an encouragement, I've played 3 leagues now. In every league that I've had, the captains have done a really good job of trying to teach the game with little meetings beforehand. We had one practice on a night off, which was really cool. So I've seen the captains go out of their way to try to teach what a host deck is, how you should move when you cut, all those kinds of things. But I would second that it would be really cool and helpful to help the captains and the rest of the league by the league giving some direction whether it's a workshop between leagues. I've heard an idea thrown out of time before the league starts. If we start at 6, have an optional 5:30 to run some drills or something.
Okay. Thank you. We're gonna go. Bucky, you had your hand up.
I think a big thing also is, immediately it seems in all of our leagues, teams after they're drafted try to hit the ground running and start being, whether it's competitive or not, put their best foot forward to play and compete to the best of their ability. Whether it's teams that were drafted and everyone knows one another, or there are teams that are drafted and very few of the new players are people that and they're kind of just carried along and taught forcibly over the course of the season. And I feel it's also because a lot of those early games take into effect on the back end of the season, how a team does going towards the end of season tournament. And if there's something implemented where the first 2 to 3 weeks, nothing goes against your win-loss record and teams can focus on improving their team and teaching fundamentals, that would be interesting. And then as well, having been a captain for the past couple leagues, to no detriment of captains trying to put their best foot forward and do research on new players who have never played before. It's way too stressful as a captain to try to pick the best unknown. So just if you've never experienced league before, auto draft everybody who's never played before, just throw them on a team rather than captains having to spend hours, and it makes it, because then you don't pick and choose players who doesn't know anyone and somebody who does.
Okay, very cool. That's some pretty interesting ideas. Beth.
So I'm a big systems and strategy person. So when I'm to work.
Disrespectful. I appreciate that.
You got it.
Part of my job, sometimes I go and teach communication strategy to people. That's not important, but but when I'm designing what I'm going to do, I try to run through user experience. So someone who doesn't know at all what I'm talking about, what would their experience be in my presentation? And then someone who maybe knows more than I do about what I'm presenting on, what would their experience be here? And so if you look at it, if you almost run simulations for those types of people, think about running a simulation for someone who's brand new to Frisbee, or someone who's been playing for as long as Stewie, or the person who wants to be playing competitive Ultimate, and the person who's been playing for 15 years but wants to play casually. Because all of those people exist in our community, and their opinion and their experience matters, but we're trying to make a place for all of them. So if I'm looking for a competitive experience, I still need to be aware that there are people who want a casual experience. But if I'm a casual player, I need to know that there are also people who want a competitive experience. And so the difficulty here as a player, and I'm not on the board, but I've commissioned a league before. It's hard, it's two competing opinions, right? But if we are intentional about looking at the user experience of both of those camps of people, then maybe we can do a better job at making space and catering to both of those people.
All right, Kate, and then we'll go here, and then if someone has, and then we'll move to a different topic.
Just a quick thing that popped up in my mind as we were talking about all this, meeting the needs of different levels of players and also creating retention. Crazy idea. What if we had obviously not using this word, but a baby league in front of a competitive league? So if you are a person who's new to Ultimate, you want to play League, but it's overwhelming and your past experience has been oh God, there's so much, but you want to just learn, maybe there's a 30-minute game that happens before the hour-long summer league, and the people who play in that smaller league are those folks who are I'm super out of shape, but I want to get back into Ultimate, or I want to learn, or whatever. And we have folks who want to captain or who want to play in the competitive league, and they essentially volunteer their time to sort of be the teaching people. The idea is that it's not going to be super competitive, it's for fun, it's for learning, And then those people can stay and watch a competitive league where people are there because they want to play hard and like be intense or play at a higher level or something like that. Anyway, maybe like come to the field, play and learn, and then those people who are teaching maybe get free summer league registration or something like that. And then we have like a fun, intense game after that. And so we maybe can meet both.
And
An all-star game every night.
I know I'm moderating, but I just kind of like that idea, and I'm gonna spitball too because I have ideas too. But maybe maybe just have like a learner league of like 4 teams.
Yeah, small.
4 teams, and then maybe the learner league just goes on while the big league goes, and then maybe once again I'm just shooting bullshit here, but maybe halfway through the season the learner league gets drafted into the big league or gets just put in. I don't know. I just thought that was a really fucking cool idea. I know I'm supposed to be moderate and stuff.
I will say, like, I've liked the idea. Was last year the first year of the development league? Was that the first
No.
two? Or was it the second one? So we've had 2.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I like the idea of giving people exposure in that sort of format. So I think the notion of, we've talked a bunch about, retention and getting new people involved, and specifically whether it was women or otherwise. But I like that idea of having some exposure before the summer league, because some of the experience of some of the leagues I've been in and some of the teams I've been on where you have somebody that signed up and was kind of gung-ho going into summer league, and then they played one game and they, I didn't realize you ran this much. Like, we talked about, like, where did you first start? That's how I first started playing Ultimate. Was a friend of mine was like, I need to get in shape. I want to play Ultimate. Let's go play with this church league. And he was like, but I don't want to go by myself. Will you come with me? Sure, I'll go with you. Saphir, I'll go with you, buddy. I don't know anybody here, but I'll go play. I haven't played in 10 years. I played once at a church camp. So I went and I played Ultimate, and he was like, I didn't realize there was this much running. I'm never going back. And I never stopped. And I didn't know anybody else there, and I played in that church league, and eventually Ben Nanny and some other folks came out with Barefoot Ultimate and dragged me to Summer League with Stevie and some others, and that's history, right? But grand scheme of things, my point is like, I like that idea of getting some exposure for some of those folks beforehand so that they haven't then signed up for Summer League and then they disappear from the whole league, right? And it might not necessarily be, oh, well, I didn't know the rules or you weren't welcoming enough. It was like, I don't like to run this much, and sometimes that's all that is.
So, all right, so we're going to move on to a different, if anyone wants to add we have,
if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead.
So one easy thing I think we can do is provide whiteboards to have on the sides for captains. And also encourage captains to show up and give feels so they can show up 30 minutes before, so newbies can come and throw and run drills and explain things on the whiteboard before the game starts.
I just want to, I've got to go, but a lot of these comments here, the 2 things I see about the retention. One is so much of it's on the captains, that the captains they've got the on-field captaining strategy, all that stuff. They've got the communication piece that goes on during the week and whatever, getting everybody there, who's going to be there, that sort of stuff, and the drafting. And then they've got the teaching piece. And generally, I think you find captains are good at, they're really good at one of those. They're pretty good at another, and they're not very good at the third one. And so being able to figure out how to help captains do some of that stuff, or suggestions to captains. And when you get a really experienced captain, they can do the on-field stuff in the back of their head. Other people really have to focus on it, and they forget the teaching part because it's just a lot. The other thing about the retention, when you look at the 25%, and that's been going on forever, you don't have to recruit if you can retain. You put a lot of effort in recruitment, but you're losing people. If you could figure out how to do that. So there's a lot of these things with socials, other things. I'm sure there's a lot of things we could do to really try to keep that 25% here each year, and that'll just explode the league. So thank you all. I get it.
All right. So, and anyone have any other cultural blind spots that you feel that Knoxville Ultimate has? Otherwise, yep.
Families. people get married, they have babies, and they stop playing Ultimate, and
We need to stop people from having babies, yeah.
No. Could we have like a part of the league fee or something like that go toward like we hire a college kid who doesn't play Ultimate to run a hangout kid time, put them in a pin and watch them so that moms can
Yeah, put them in the
That's a lifestyle. Listen, guys, I'll tell you what, I do want to say that there is no bad ideas right now. We're simply, if you guys have ideas, we want to hear them. So I'm going to go once, twice. Sold. All right. So the next one, we're talking about league structure and the blind spots that we feel are within league structure. And we're looking for, once again, constructive solutions. So we might, an example of this would be maybe someone saying, I feel that there are some teams that draft more guys than girls, or they focus on that. I think that we should go, the draft order should be guy, girl, guy, girl, guy, girl. Something, or we need to do self-rankings, stuff like that. We're looking for constructive solutions. Some of this might be for more experienced captains or people who've been in the league for a while, but other just stuff that you notice within league and your experience. So blind spots within the league.
Just want to say that team would have gone all the way. That was get off our lawn, I'm pretty sure. That was right before we got lost to COVID. So. Also,
Still not the best.
I wasn't sure if this was culture or structure, but it was going back to captains. I do agree, like captains have a lot on them, but I really feel like we should have some diversity in our captaining in the sense of like, I'm just gonna say it, okay, like a more serious person and a less serious person. So maybe like a spirit captain, because I feel like we oftentimes have two really competitive captains and a lot of the fun gets taken out of it. And so maybe we had a spirit captain that was more focused on how to make the team fun and make sure everybody's having a good experience, a vibe checker, if you will. That's what they call it sometimes, the vibe checker. Then that could be really great for retention as well, because not only are we having someone that's teaching and being serious about the rules and everything, you also have someone that's teaching them how to do a shot ski or a cowabunga.
Okay.
Not public.
No drinking at the public park, but you could do a shot ski at the post.
But you know what I mean.
social,
That might teach them more of the cultural spirit aspects of Ultimate.
Yeah. We'll go back.
Just a quick addition to what Jess said, because I'm all on board. In the past, it's really been up to the commissioner to recruit captains. There seems like a gap there that we could have people step up and say, hi, I would like to captain. I think I would be a good captain. Not guaranteeing them a spot to captain when they do that, but yeah, not everyone should captain, and that's true. But also, if we're trying to put two captains on every summer league team without crossover between Wednesday and Thursday, we're talking like 40 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. So I think some structure where people can sign up. Also, a lot of feedback that I got from Wednesday League was do some kind of captain's training.
Yes.
This is what we are expecting of our captains, and here are some tools and some strategies that you can use to captain.
Yeah. If I can add to that, maybe not just people who would volunteer to be captain, but maybe in like the league survey, we have like on your team, who do you think would be a good captain that wasn't a captain?
Like that. Who you think would be a good representative?
Yeah, who was very helpful to you that wasn't a captain? And then that way you're kind of organically seeing, if 7 people on the same team go, Adam was fantastic and very handsome, then maybe you got to listen. All right, so more thoughts, ideas. on this topic, or maybe a different issue involving the league structure?
I know we're talking about captains a lot right now, so just to throw in on the pile. I know, having been a president once for the UT, the past presidents had a book that every past president added on to of like, this is what you need to know, this is what worked, this is what didn't, do this, don't do this, things you should be prepared for ahead of time. So maybe like, we had training, but also just like a captaining for dummies, like PDF that I would say the board prepares because they know how captains should be representing the league and how the board wants it to happen. And then so they can prepare documentation like, these are things you do, whether, when we start as like emails, group meets, choose whichever you want, but like something to help, and then like structure how to engage in conversation, like those things that I think fell through the cracks that you're right, some people are good at 3 things, they're not good at all of them, you're like one kind of good at like something to help give them a good across the board understanding to walk into so they don't forget something on the back end would be super helpful.
Adam, can I, real quick, so we're in the process of creating a commissioner's manual to do that exact thing for the league commissioners. And I think attaching that apart with that of previous captains is, I think I can comfortably say it's just something that we will do. Like, we need to do that. But we're starting with the commissioners one too, because like we realized that we weren't giving our commissioners enough of that kind of thing too. So yeah, we want to do more of that.
Point of order, he broke the rules.
Yeah, I was gonna say thank you for your comment, Drew, but it was. Listening? No.
I'll keep going.
And then, all right. So, blind spots, constructive solutions to Knoxville Ultimate.
I think that there should be. I think maybe we should experiment with some different drafting strategies.
Okay.
It's never fun to be on a team that doesn't win a game all season. And that could be for a number of different reasons, just people don't show up who you thought would show up or whatever the case may be. I've heard some ideas thrown around of drafting men and women separately.
Okay.
That's an idea to where, because you do have those issues where some teams will not draft women early on. And so then that's not fun to have a team where you only have one woman who shows up and then, it just causes issues. And then another idea, which might be a little controversial, but
send it this way.
I like the idea of keeping a running tally of a general ranking of the players who play consistently in Knoxville. Just because you have some players who might get drafted, later on because one captain knew them and knew they were a really good club player from some other country, but they're new to Knoxville. And so they come in and just kill it, and they're like an 11th round draft pick.
Yeah.
And that, I think, contributes to, that one team just dominating while another team doesn't get a single win all season.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a team that's the best. There's always a winner at the end. I think that's an idea to where you can make it a little bit more fair, though. Just because if you're a new player and you're on that team that doesn't ever win, no matter how good the spirit on that team is, that could still be a reason that they don't come back.
Okay. Thank you. That was a great comment right here.
So coming from abroad and being new to the community, I've been wondering why are there no spirit scores or any spirit awards here? The spirit scoring and the structural part of the spirit of the game are such an important part of this sport, especially at the competitive level, especially internationally, and it's something you need to train, it's something that you need to practice, it's something that is difficult. So I think it should be included some league, especially with having a spirit captain, and there should definitely be a spirit of the game award at the end of it.
Absolutely.
I like it. Nice.
Just because I know I've been a captain before and I've seen the drafts. I know a lot of these ideas have been incorporated, but I don't know if they've been consistently, recorded the outcomes. But yes, agreed. Lots of spirit things. I think that should be the forefront of Knoxville Ultimate. So many times, and Mitch and other people who have played mixed results can say that we go to tournaments and people are like, y'all are the most fun team we've ever played. We love you guys. You're so welcoming. And I think that's generally Knoxville. We just need to hype it up. Yes, we're also maybe drinking, but we need to hype that up. But also, I know this is generally seen as a hat tournament structure, but I really think it's kind of cool to have the idea of like maybe the structure of a team with some of, the elite or, more experienced players, and then kind of having more of a random hat tournament style team.
That's kind of.
You know,
I've never heard.
does anyone
doing
know?
that. That's
So
kinda
that's
cool.
basically you have a few players, like maybe 3 to 5 players that you already know their skill level, you know that they're really experienced. They form the teams, and then everybody else just gets randomly drawn and thrown on those teams, and it's fun.
Okay. Oh wait, actually, hand in the back. My guy.
Just a note on that, like one thing that happened, I think with my team a couple times in fall league was like people wouldn't always show up, just like the last day, so we'd only have 8 or 9 players. So if that draft, like you said, where you draft 6 or 7 players to where you can have at least one field of players you know will show up, and then randomly draw the other half. That way, like you can have, you'll always have a field full of players, but your subs will be variable based on the randomization.
Can we punish people for not showing up?
Spankings. Dave, do you have a comment?
I did, this is a little bit of a pivot from our current conversation.
That's fine, pivot.
So, I know we've talked about commissioners say, or our board saying like, hey, we're gonna do better about communication and stuff. We've got a lot of like various places that pickup happens. As a person who has captained in the past, and to Luke's point, like it's really stressful to draft a team. But maybe we could do like a pre-summer league exhibition game, like come and play and let's get to know people and also, if you are a player who is not captaining, you have no control over who you're playing with. And I have no idea how we would do this, but could there be some way to be like anonymously saying like, hey, Luke is the most fun person to play with, and if he's captaining, I'd really like to play with him. Or like, I don't know, players bid on who their captain is or something like that. It's like insane, but maybe a thing that you could do because I really liked the idea of how Fall League was supposed to work, and I realized that in execution there were a lot of things that could have been better, and I didn't play Fall League, but if instead of you need to come up with a whole team of people to field, what if it's like me and a few pals and then you draft or something like that, like having the core be a lot smaller. I think that's maybe something that had been talked about, but yeah, I think it's fun for people to get to play with people they want to play with and still have competition.
All right.
I think another big thing that's been a blind spot, or like in recent leagues that's been a stress point, is just, drafting team members. You have the selection on the form, how often you expect to be there, and it's like you have a range of like full-time, or like 2 weeks less, or then 2 weeks less than that bracket, or then 2 weeks less than that bracket. And then it gets to a point along the season, whether it's because you're a team that's losing constantly, that people are just less discouraged to show up, or you truly have a problem with numbers due to illness or something like that. But a lot of the times there are people who sign up who know they aren't really going to be available, or they don't have a lot of skin in the game they're trying to play. And so I know from experience of captaining a team, we have players just only showed up 2 times and then never came again, regardless of how many times they texted them like, I'll totally be there.
Yeah.
And it was just because their schedule didn't allow it. So, and we started reinstating in recent leagues the pickup, and then you could pay by game if they needed pickups in that regard. But maybe allowing at the same time, hey, I know I'm not making every game, but I know I can make this, so I'll play pickups for these weeks, and then just restrict the amount of how many you could draft, maybe, so that pickups will always go on or something like that. Maybe make pickup an option at the start of the season rather than the end.
All right.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And you can choose which weeks to pick
Just
up.
say I'm not going to be there.
Except for 2, 3, or 4
How
weeks.
much time do we have?
We can keep going.
Okay.
You guys,
I wanna, so we're gonna go to the next question because we've just been. We're gonna go to the next question just so that we can. I've been doing a bad job of moderating, keeping time. So
We did promise that we would end at 9. If anybody needs to leave early, please feel free. You can get up and leave whenever you need to. But we've got such good ideas going. I'd like to keep the meeting going. That's okay with everybody.
Yeah, so next question. Community initiatives, events, programs, would you like to see Knoxville Ultimate expand to? In what ways can Knoxville grow and support the game in our area? For example, this can be something like, I think we need to have, I know Mixed Reaction was kind of like a club team that was like based on. From my understanding, Mixed Reaction was a club team.
People have mixed reactions to mixed results. Mixed results.
Mixed results. Sorry, whatever. But from what I understand, that was like very much a developmental club team where the focus was Knoxville Ultimate had a club team that's all based on development and going to these travel tournaments. It can be we do regular we could, a club, a combine where you get to learn about club. It can be, like you said, having like a pickup before league, like a league try, not league try, but like an ability to like, hey, come play Ultimate before the season, and so that way people can see how you have to play. So we're looking for specific events, programs, and initiatives that you'd like to see Knoxville. And we'll go with Buck.
I think Knoxville should host a tournament. We have plenty of field space. We have loads of players who travel to multiple tournaments every year. I think a lot of people respect Knoxville as players to show up to their tournaments, and I think we have a perfect area to host one. I also think it would help with engagement and retention of players in the Knoxville area to be interested in maybe starting or going into the club experience. We'll have secured 2 team bids, maybe 3 team bids that will be filled with Knoxville players. That would be cool, but we have the field space and we have the ability, I think, to host one in the area. I think that'd be something we could definitely do. Absolutely.
So what do you say party? Did you say party tournaments?
Some sort of mixed part, like unsanctioned tournament.
Okay, unsanctioned.
An unsanctioned tournament that teams can come in.
I just want to make sure
I've pitched the 69th annual Universe tournament, which is one better than Worlds because it's for the universe. I pitched that idea for a year now.
in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah,
The universe. It's so central. We got the most international airport in the
the
world.
Universe Ultimate Championships, which is more important than Worlds.
If 70 teams.
All right, so that's a great idea. Let's go with Jess.
I love ideas to expand. So one thing I love that we sometimes do, we've probably done it like less than a handful, when we do cleanups or invasive species removal. And that's usually really spearheaded by, I believe, Nanny, because that's like his job. So like community things that are actually good for the community, because we're out there, we're gonna be wearing our shirts. People are gonna say, who are all these people out here having a great time, cleaning up trash, doing whatever? And we say, we're Ultimate, Knoxville Ultimate, and we invite people to come out. More stuff that's like outreach, not just picking up trash and stuff like that, but like helping kids in some way. I don't know, Boo at the Zoo, anywhere they have like kids events, we can be there and be like, hey, y'all come learn Ultimate, and their parents will love it because we will talk all about spirit and good sportsmanship, and let them be active. And also, I have this like crazy wild idea that I've told a couple people about. But y'all know that Walmart that closed down? Wouldn't it be so cool if like a whole grouping of rec people like bought/rented that, and we had indoor space with like, they have skylights and it's huge. And it would be amazing if we could use that because it would be big enough and there's tons of parking. But it would have to be like a whole like coalition of folks, right? It's gonna be like more than just Knoxville Ultimate, unless someone has a whole bunch of money they haven't told us about.
That is, I do love the, hey, no, there's no idea that's.
No, we weren't.
Yeah, there's no idea that's too big for this, guys. Other initiatives, they can be big events, it can be small events. It can be like every new player gets a disc.
And I looked up this
stuff like
place,
that.
and it's like belongs to some Delaware company. I don't know where it is.
Mark.
I'm a big fan of pickup, and for some reason, I would say Chattanooga is a pretty equivalent community size to ours. They have pickup every day of the week, just about. And I've driven down there a couple times, and it has a great turnout. But it seems like in Knoxville we have 3 or 4 different pickup games all on Sunday. And then like occasionally in between leagues, we'll have Wednesday night pickup, and that's it. Like if you don't organize something yourself on some other day during the week, it's probably not happening. I think it would be really beneficial if like Knoxville Ultimate, the organization, sponsored more pickup games throughout the week. Because I think a lot of people are more willing to show up if there's an actual sponsored like pickup, like everyone knows this is when it is, it's consistent, as someplace, maybe Tuesday or Thursday or whatever day. I think that'd be really beneficial.
Okay, I like it.
Just some spitballing ideas.
Love it.
Having a mother-daughter clinic. We need more women. We want to encourage girls to come. We want to encourage women to come. We want to get them out there together. Might be cool. So growing up in the South as a Southern Baptist girl, one of the best things ever was church lock-ins. And it would be pretty fun to have like a Knoxville Ultimate like overnight tournament or like a lock-in where we just like have games and stuff like that.
Have you done an overnight tournament?
Yeah, so there was one in Atlanta and they did like the indoor tournament. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what the possibility. I know finding space is always hard, but it could be fun.
Fighting the sleep is always a good one. All right, all the way in the back.
And like to go off of that, like I know there's a tournament in Fredericksburg, Virginia, that is an overnight, all-night indoor tournament. Like there are things like that exist, and like they get huge turnout, and people fucking love it, and they always come back. I was fine. So like I just think like there are good examples of that working, and I'm like majorly in support of that. And if I could add another thing.
No.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Our high school scene. So like I moved here within the past year. From what I understand, our high school scene is a lot bigger, like 3-4 years ago. I think re-engaging a lot of these high schools so that there's a higher level of competition. There are more young people in our community playing Ultimate would go a long ways. I know that there is KYU, but I feel like if we as a larger Knoxville Ultimate community invested more in that, showing up to games, maybe putting on clinics, things like that, all of a sudden you have such a large pool of young players to pull from that, I don't know, I think recruiting becomes a lot easier. And I think engaging our high school age or younger students would be a huge step forward. I don't know what that looks like necessarily, but I'm open to it.
Yeah, I to add because I can, and I'm the moderator. I think finding ways like if I don't know the Knoxville Ultimate like high school community, but getting the maybe like seniors in high school, finding ways to get them to do our leagues. Like hey, for our seniors, because then we're able to develop them. I know Ben's brother Eli, is he a senior?
Yep.
Yeah, he played with us, and granted, there were times that he made a doofy, boneheaded throw, but there were other times that he just skied the pants off of somebody or threw something, and watching him get better and better over the course of just one Goalty league and then over summer league. And, that was one way that we really developed, and so maybe finding ways like, if you're a high school senior, we will sponsor 10 of you to come play for Knoxville Ultimate, leagues.
I would love to see an annual True Mixed Hat Tournament out of Knoxville. I think in addition to the people here, we'd be pulling from Chattanooga, Johnson City, Greenville, Asheville, Lexington. If you want to look at youth Ultimate, talk to Dave Wu in Lexington because he's pulling all of our youth up there on a regular basis.
Yep. Okay, cool. Denmark, you've been very patient.
Yeah, thanks. For events, I think it would be cool to do I think a lot of people have said workshops and clinics. I'm very much for that. But also like at end of the season, maybe awards thing where you could do a spirit of the game winner for that year, or rookie of the year, or a person that had like the best aggregate, placement across all the different leagues or something like that. Is just a way to get everyone together.
a fancy banquet where we dress up for the sake of dressing up.
Sure.
I like that.
I like it. All right, Ben.
I was gonna say something actually similar to what Michael said, but also I think there's an opportunity to do something like that and also use it to support or showcase our competitive players out of Knoxville. So something that gets the community behind Tenassi and Fusion and Gents and players who are in Knoxville who play for other teams. I think getting some community backing behind our competitive players is great for those players. It's also great for showing new players in our community, like, hey, this is what like you could grow to be. You know, like this is show high schoolers like, hey, you can go and play for Tenassi and or play for Fusion, and either of these teams, is talking about a nationals run. That could be you. The other thing, and this is just much smaller. Knoxville has a really strong and thriving disc golf community. Seems like a no-brainer that there could be some kind of crossover between those two things. Other cities, disc golf and ultimate frisbee are run or over the oversight is done by the same organization. I play both of them, and I'm better at disc golf because I played ultimate. I'm worse at frisbee now because I play disc golf now.
Checks out.
So that's fair, but that seems like a no-brainer for recruitment.
Yeah.
Like,
Kate.
if we are going to have the new overhauled website, and we've got board members who put in a lot of time and effort and planning, and that takes a lot of energy, and people are busy and have lives. And we also struggle with sometimes finding like captains and who's gonna do these things. We have all these ideas, who's gonna do it? What if we had people who were not board members, but were like part of a pool of like, I'm a frisbee volunteer, and they have like little profiles that get to know your ultimate community, and it's like dorky and silly.
Yeah, like
but
an $8
also-
check mark.
Yeah.
It's a fundraiser.
Say your name.
Elon did come up with something, but we're stealing it.
But also, Luke had to mention this, but I just want to amplify it because it seems like such a great idea, and I wish it had existed. He was like, "Yeah, we'll have a club career fair," and I came into Ultimate I never had a coach, I never played organized Ultimate other than just league, and I didn't know that club existed, that it was a thing, that it was a possibility. And I wish that I had gotten more competitive earlier because it's so fun and traveling and I think we also struggle in Knoxville with cliquishness and finding ways that we can help people feel like, hey, I'm not inviting you guys over to my house for dinner every night, but it'd be cool to just have a day where I'm getting together with people I don't normally get together with. And they are also ultimate players, and we're not necessarily here to kick each other's butts on the field.
Can we spotlight all the old people and say you could be like them? You're old.
Community
Careful.
spotlight.
I've seen your 300 abs.
Listen,
You're
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was once mentioned in the same sentence as Callahan Award winner Claire Chastain.
I saw it.
Article. All right. Any other initiatives, events, or programs? Or I'm going to move to the second part.
It's just real quick.
Yes.
Can we get more information sent out about the tournaments in nearby areas that do happen? Because a lot of times I'll see a Facebook post after it's happened. Knoxville sent 2 teams to this tournament, and I was like, I never even heard about it, and that would be something I would love to be involved with.
Okay. I love that. Yeah.
Just to tack onto that real quick, I know we have remnants of bids that mixed results had, that we have teams that go, and it's typically just those who reach out and ask who know the right people. But if Knoxville Ultimate went out and just secured, say, 2 bids to some well-known tournaments that are close by, to say, hey, and then flash out who's interested in going to these, and then you would register like you would for Knoxville Ultimate, then they'd put it on their website or something. I think we could expand the pool, like you were saying, introduce people to club tournaments or mixed tournaments and do it that way. But we as a actual LLC like secure bids for our community to go and travel and really just randomize the people you play up with, which I think would be a cool way of doing it too.
I don't make any decisions, but fuck, I think that was kind of cool idea.
We're backfilling our offer with Bucky.
I was just, can Bucky or can someone explain for the room kind of what the bid getting process looks like now and what you're talking about for those?
I don't actually know.
So that's why I said for someone else.
This is not Mitch board member speaking, this is Mitch community member speaking. I was handed a bunch of these bids by Nathan Kenner about 6 years ago, and I've just been running with it, man. It's literally just, if you were on the team last year, you get an email, and then if I see you, and I'm like short people 2 weeks before the tournament, I'm like, hey, you play, come on, let's go. And so I personally, community member Mitch, would love to fork this off on Knoxville Ultimate, because yeah, when I get sick of it, who do I give the bids to?
No, I think putting it in Knoxville Ultimate's a great idea.
Yeah.
Clarification of question.
Yeah, so the way, all these tournaments that have been around forever, more people want to go to them than they have capacity for. And so they invite the teams that have been before. And so there are tournaments like Poultry Days is a big one in the Knoxville community. Poultry Days, Knoxville has sent a team or multiple teams to Poultry Days for longer than just about anyone who goes to Poultry Days. Yeah. And so these tournaments contact the teams who have been before, and those people get to build teams themselves and bring them to that tournament. And so what Mitch is talking about, what Bucky is talking about, is these long-term relationships that individuals in the Knoxville community have with different tournaments, that they get a bid, they earned a bid, or they were given a bid by someone else. So that's what that means when they say we were given bids. And so historically, it has just looked like, hey, Bucky has a bid to this tournament, Bucky's gonna find 15 more people to go with him. Or Mitch was handed a bid to this tournament even though he didn't earn it. And he's gonna find 20 people to go with him.
We do have community members. Is Susan ever getting invited?
So
Recently, we're getting bids. Like we do have community members who are
We're gonna move on. I'm gonna skip this question, but it's the only joke I have in the entire thing, which was fast forward to 2032 years into the future. You don't have to worry about germs dying you because he's old and he plays with the walker. That's the only joke I had.
How do you follow that? How does that question follow the picture of me actually getting skied?
I know. All right. So section 2. This is like I said. This is a time where community members get to listen. And I ask a few questions to our board members.
Can we start with why is Germ using a walker in 10 years?
Yeah, I'd like an answer to that.
He's old. You know what?
Masters.
So I want to say that this picture was on Knoxville Ultimate. For the board, you all work on this board on a volunteer basis. You get paid absolutely nothing. You put in a lot of work. Individually, why are you doing this? And what is it that you hope to accomplish as a board member with Knoxville Ultimate? And I'll start with you, because you're next to me.
I thought about this, and
I sent you the question.
I know you sent me the question before, and now I'm thinking about bid systems. Why am I doing this? Honestly, I saw a gap in organization. I saw improvements that could be made, and the little engineer weasel brain that I have said, you can solve that. You can make it better. You can devote time to it because there's nothing else going on. You have the time to do it. So just go fix it. That's kind of what motivated me to do it, is just to work on better systems, work on improving Knoxville Ultimate so more people can find it the way that I did, which was a friend. Honestly, it's the story we've heard all night. A friend was just like, just come check this out. Just look at it. And once I found it, I never would have found it without a friend dragging me there. So I want to get us to the point where it's no longer just friend of a friend, but it's when a new person comes to town and Google's Ultimate in Knoxville, we're the first thing that pops up because we have a good enough website, we have a good enough engagement in our community that New to Knox is posting about us, and local restaurants have posters up for us, all that kind of stuff. I saw a gap and just wanted to work on it, chip away at it. So.
Thanks,
And then
Mitch.
specific thing that you would like to accomplish as a board member. You just pick one.
Registration and the website has been, and branding, those three things go together. Like branding of our organization has been a huge push that I've been on.
Thanks. Jen.
I do this because I love this community, and when I first started playing, I had no idea what I was doing, and this community welcomed me with open arms and has been here for me in some of the toughest moments of my life. And I want to continue that. I want to be that for others. If I had to pick one thing that I really want to do with my time here on the board, well, lots of things, but I think something that on this board maybe I'm uniquely qualified to do is I want to empower women.
Yeah.
I want to recruit women. I want them to gain confidence and leadership skills and continue to make an impact in the ultimate community.
So.
I'm passionate about Ultimate, you know. I played soccer growing up, and when I first went out and saw a bunch of people playing in the park and everything, and then I found out that you get to go to tournaments and do kind of like what I did as a little kid, you know. And the thing I would like to see us do is push towards little kids playing a sport, like before high school. You know, like up in Boston, they've got programs where they get the kids off the school buses and take them to the fields and play so that the parents don't have to pay for like the after school care and stuff like that. I think that's just I think that would be the biggest step going forward for us for the future.
Yeah, Boston's got an insane ultimate structure. Thanks, Stewie, and Jerm.
Yeah, I owe a lot in my life, not just to Ultimate, but to Knoxville Ultimate. Got a wife out of it, so.
Solid.
I think when I came back and they asked for people to express interest the last go around, it just made sense for me with my experience in Ultimate in Chattanooga and then here, like I just so badly wanted to get back to this community that's given me so much. And I love Summer League, I love all the leagues that we do, I love KYU, I love the party tournaments, like I everything about Knoxville Ultimate that we do as a community, I just love. And I think a lot of what we're doing is really good and gives a lot of people a lot of different ways to play. For me, one of the things that I wanted to accomplish is I think we do have a really big focus on recruiting new players and wanting new players. And I think that's so important and we need to continue to get better at that. But for me, it was also a focus on the higher level players in Knoxville and those that want to travel and play at the club level. I wanted to have that voice on the board of somebody that is seeing Ultimate across the country, so that I can try and see and learn from what other cities and places are doing, other teams around the country are doing. That was my mindset.
All right. All right, so second question. What are the biggest challenges that you guys deal with as a board? What are limitations that you guys have? And flipping the switch here, what do you believe are the biggest blind spots that we as a community, your community members have in terms of their view of Knoxville?
Sure. Yeah. Photos being used without my permission on board slides. No.
I'm not on the board.
That's
I'm a loose cannon.
I think one of the biggest things, and one of the things that we saw in the feedback from league is it was a small percentage, but like it would be my hope that you all would understand that like we genuinely do everything that we can to like play as much as possible and like have as many leagues going on as possible. And we a lot of times when things get dictated out of our hands, the city more than anybody kind of has a big say in when we can or cannot use the fields. So unfortunately, like we had a lot of weather cancellations this summer. That wasn't dictated by us. Like at no point did we just decide like, you know what, we're not going to do it. It's not like it's always decided typically by somebody else when there's a cancellation. So I think like one blind spot is, you know, we always are going to do what we can to make sure that play happens, because like we're all sitting up here because we love to play just as much as everybody. So like we will do what we can to make sure that play happens. But on the flip side of that, I think we're doing a good job of having kind of a league in every season, always having an opportunity to play. And so, you know, we still want to do more of that as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think our biggest problem is just the women retention. I think that's our biggest obstacle right now. But that's pretty much all, you know, almost all leagues in the South is, you know, we don't have a lot of women.
Okay. We are sadly grown-ups with full-time jobs. We got to pay the bills, and we don't do that through our time on Knoxville Ultimate's board. And sometimes it's hard for us to coordinate schedules. We have families, we have other obligations. So we work really hard in the time that we are together and the time that we carve out of our days to meet. And sometimes we can't make it happen overnight, but know that we are trying and we're doing our best. One of the things that is also been hard for us historically that we are working to improve is sort of a lack of institutional knowledge. So board members come on, they roll off, and when they leave, their knowledge sometimes leaves with them. And so we're focusing a lot more on trying to get a lot of this down on paper, trying to pass on that knowledge to future board members so that we're not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, what limitations do you have? If Joe was right here, I'd say there's 5 of us. I appreciate every commissioner that has come through. I appreciate every captain that has captained a league and given their time and effort. But someone pointed out earlier, we should have a pool of volunteers who we can grab, right? Huge shout out. Someone came up to me during the break and said, I'd be interested in being a webmaster when your new website launches. That's huge. Because right there, that's 5 to 10 hours a week that one of us doesn't have to do and can focus on launching a new program, can focus on working with the city to reserve a field for pickup, something like that. And so having a pool of volunteers would be great because I think people have a general sense of it, and this is in no way a complaint. I think the community blind spot is the amount of time behind the scenes. When Summer League registration hit the last 2 years, I was putting in 25 to 40 hours a week on top of my day job to monitor registration, flag problems, get things out to people, and that was just me. That does not count the work by the commissioners to help with that, the work of their committee members. That's I think a blind spot is that there's 5 of us, and
We are expanding.
But we are expanding.
Apply to join the board.
Please.
And apply to join you, and then also, like I said, having a pool of volunteers to pull from would be amazing.
Cool.
So
the next question is, what actions can we as your community members do, either big or small, to help Knoxville Ultimate become more successful? What is it that we can do to make your lives even just a little bit easier?
That's not for you guys.
Oh, I was going down.
This was a perfect segue. The volunteer pool.
That's what I was gonna say, put it there.
Shoot
Put
us
it
an
on there.
email,
Put it on there.
even if you don't want to be a board member, right? But you want to volunteer 5 hours a week or 10 hours a month. Do it. There's absolutely something out there that we could probably assign to someone. So
I would say keep talking to us. Fill out surveys, email us. knoxleague@gmail.com is our email. You can email us at any point with any concerns, ideas, anything like that. We want to keep hearing from you guys more than just at this community meeting. Talk to us.
Yeah, just volunteer. If you're passionate about it, do something.
I'd reiterate the engagement as well. If you know people that have businesses, if you have your own business, we want to know about that. Like, we want to know who those people are, just so we can do what we can to try to support those people and also have them support us. So,
Add something else. Support when and where you can all of our initiatives. So KYU had like a jamboree at the beginning of the season. That's the sort of thing that we can show our support at. When the college teams have tournaments, it's a lot of fun to just go out, hang out for a couple hours, watch some really good college level ultimate. Things like
this
that.
Saturday and Sunday, Sutherland Field Complex.
Oh, are my UT women having a tournament?
Rookie top.
Would you look at that?
Rookie top.
It will be cold. Yeah, come watch some.
Yeah.
We have a Knoxville women's team playing this weekend as well. Or, I mean, engagement on social media, all of those, you don't have to come devote hours of time of your life outside of leagues, but any sort of small engagement helps.
And one more thing to add, they are looking for board members. They are accepting board members. So if you do have the opportunity or ability to be a little bit more than just, chip in where I can and be more involved, if you want to be more involved in the decision making and more hands-on, this is an opportunity in which you can do it is by being a board member. Anything else you guys want to? So as far as it goes, we're at the final bit, and really before we close out, I want to give everybody an opportunity. If there's something that you didn't get to say, if there is a comment positive, if there's a question that you really wanted to ask the board, now's your opportunity to do it.
What if I don't feel like I know very much about Ultimate? How can I still be helpful to the community? Like, could we? I feel like imposter syndrome is real, and I feel like I know a lot more now than I did 10 years ago, but I know that there was a period of time where I was like, I'm new, I can't be helpful, or I don't know enough about Ultimate, so I don't want to tell the board that I want to help and then be like, I don't know what I'm doing, because I don't know, I guess I just want to say that because I know I was that person at some point, and then I realized I don't really have to know that much, I just have to take directions well and show up, and I want everyone in the community to feel like they have a role in some form of leadership or some form of, I don't know, you belong here, everyone belongs here, and I want everyone to feel that way. Anyway, that's the end.
I'll share a response. I guess in terms of leagues, moving forward for the summer leagues, coming from Columbus, Ohio, which is a much larger city than Knoxville, for summer leagues, they had fewer teams than Knoxville had in total for summer league. I think maybe 14 teams is too many. You can cut those teams down to say 12 or 10, having more people on the teams so that you're not struggling to field, try to play an hour and a half long game with 9 people when you have poor numbers show up for a week. And I think maybe a problem with retention for women is when you have a team that only has 5 women and then you have 2 show up, those 2 women are basically playing savage for that entire game. If you now have a team having 6, 7, 8 women on a team, half of them show up, you still have 4. You can still up that gender ratio, have them be able to play, get more women on the field at the same time, but then also have more subs to be able to play a full game rather than now I'm here, now I'm supposed to play for the next hour and a half straight. And so maybe cutting down on the number of teams for a big league like that, more players per team may be a better way to help retain people.
Excellent comment.
Can I yeah. To address that we put new format for like Thursday league. We still don't know what that's gonna look like yet. We will still continue to have 2 summer leagues, but like we as a community need to do a better job by distributing amongst the 2 leagues. That starts with the board and trickles down obviously, but like whatever format that comes up with, like we need to do a better job of doing Wednesday and Thursday leagues so that, because if we do smaller teams, that's less guys that would play Wednesday. And so that's why like the Thursday league, whatever new format that is, that's why that's important as well. So like, I feel like we kind of need to get away from a mindset sort of like Wednesday's the night, we got to play Wednesday. If I don't get in Wednesday, I guess I'll play Thursday. Like that has across everybody, like that, again, that starts with us in the format that is Thursday, but then like we have to play both nights, and both leagues can then have a lot of teams. Both leagues could have a lot of teams.
Yeah, and just to add to that, that's something too that like we went to timed game. Well, I think around the time that we went to timed games a while back because there was complaints about, you know, if it's game to 15, one team finishes in 45 minutes and the other one takes an hour and a half, and the bar tab is gone by the time those other teams get there. We don't really do bar tabs anymore. We negotiate discounts with our social partners. And so there's no reason we can't look at changing game formats to prevent, like you said, an 80-minute game with 2 women running Savage, right? That's going to be brutal no matter how you cut it. That also gets rid of the plus 20 point diffs in a single game and captains wanting to run up their point diffs because, well, there's 20 minutes left in the game. So that's kind of the format in general. Needs looked at.
I will say, just as a community member who doesn't play anymore, concussions, but maybe capping the amount of points that a point differential can be. You can only get +6, +5 max. So that way, if you get to the end and you're just absolutely destroying a team, you don't really have the incentive to just pound their butts into the dirt. You have maybe more incentive to let new players play and get more touches and that kind of stuff.
Great idea.
Yeah.
I was curious, based off of the format this year, we experimentally tried another format for Fall League with mixed results. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Just a different format. I thought it was cool. Is it going to be, and I plan moving forward to make Fall League our experimental, like this is the league we're going to try something completely new and stay tried and true the summer, or it kind of happened because we want to mix it up. I don't know if that's something moving forward or not.
I don't think we've established. Says guys.
I think you're bad.
Well, it had enough battery to get us through a lot of times.
Yeah, through an extra. We went extra through.
We're not establishing Fall League as the experimental league. It was a good time to implement that experimental format. We didn't send out a formal Fall League survey afterwards, but we have been getting like informal feedback, which has been
constructive.
Yeah, really constructive, actually. The format was, I think, more successful than some people anticipated. I think people in Fall League had a pretty good time. We will be working on more formal ways of gathering feedback. We really liked having the data from the Summer League survey, and we'd like to make that a part of all of our future leagues going forward. So, yeah, we're gonna get 6 surveys. But
if any of you guys are not social engineers, what do they call them? Social scientists?
Yeah, sure.
Volunteer, please.
Is there a mini website like an FAQ, like
let's
insert your opinion page?
We got Green who's been patient with her hands.
Grace.
Thanks, Jess. I don't hate the idea, Jess's idea earlier, of having 2 different types of captains. I know that can be controversial in and of itself because of people wanting to captain together or whatever. But as far as the spirit of the game, what we were talking about earlier, I think having some kind of guideline also for captains of like, what is spirit of the game? What should it look like as a community? Should it be a game? Should it be just like a cheer at the end? Is there any kind of budget for it? I think as a previous captain, I felt overwhelmed by it maybe even having like a third party nominated from the team to be a spirit captain, and that be something required of every team. But just something pushing in that direction to make that actually something that is important. It is the number one rule, period, of but just like making it something that's required of captains, but not in necessarily making them do it every time, but maybe nominating someone, giving that person a small budget of something to do. That could be something that the team could do every week.
Yeah, so that the captain doesn't have to come out of pocket for his fake mustache budget. No, it could be anybody, but
you're still gonna have to do that for sure.
Yeah. We got your receipts, we're ignoring them.
Back to structure and registration in particular, I would propose expanding the self-rating system, not less general, more specific, general as it is in terms of, what's your experience of playing, how many years, and adding things like a personal self-ranking on a scale of 1 to 10 and a speed ranking, like from tortoise to hare and something in between, because those things matter on some level. And I've seen that work out well in other Ultimate communities, and it just gives captains a better picture of who they're drafting, particularly if they have no clue who those people are.
Interesting. I will comment and just say one of the reasons it went away, because if a bunch of you have been playing long enough in Knoxville, you'll know it used
You also
to be.
have to use your own name.
Yeah. You back in the day, people would nerf themselves in that, and especially if there was someone like that people knew from pickup, but not everybody knew, they would underrate themselves and stuff like that. So, if anybody knows John Kerrigan's real name, he signed up under it a couple of times. So,
and to speak to that, I know in Chicago, because you have to self-rank, and if you get caught nerfing, you get chewed out pretty hard, and then you don't get to choose your ranking. You get bumped up no matter what. So the nerf, if you did try to nerf, you had to like be very careful about how much you nerfed.
People would nerf for Chattanooga all the time. The captains would just re-rank.
Yeah, exactly. So there was ways, but that does require time. So, any other comments?
Let's do this more than just every once. I know it's the first annual meeting, but I feel like this has been really nice. It's nice to have everybody together in the same room. I know you guys did a lot of organization, but could we do it more often than once a year? Could we have smaller time chunks and be like, hey, we're gonna get together and have feedback time or something like that?
Maybe once a week.
Yeah. Pick up every night, leave discussion afterward. Yeah.
But that necessitates us specifically. Then it could actually be really, instead of 3 hours chunks of time, it's we're gonna take an hour just to talk about one. We're gonna have an hour to talk about culture. We're gonna have an hour to talk about league structure. That would be immensely helpful to us, and I think then you guys.
This is the first time we've done it since 2002, so we had some catching up to do. Hopefully we do get to continue doing this kind of feedback and allow people the opportunity to speak their minds about this. And like Germ said, as the board, I should say, continues and takes these implementations and sees these sorts of changes, we'll be able to make these things a lot shorter, a little bit more direct and narrow in scope, and hopefully eventually have it become almost unnecessary because it's operating at 115% efficiency. But any other comments? Yes?
Somebody mentioned more sponsored pickup, and something I hear a lot is want more diversity and want more recruitment. What about sponsored pickup rotating through under-recruited and underrepresented communities?
Ooh.
Yeah, boys and girls club.
Sponsors to pick up in East Knoxville, sponsors to pick up in Powell. We're in places where we're not getting players from.
Or Emerald Youth, who is currently letting us play there for Winter League. That's who built Sansom. I mean, that seems like a perfectly good Inroad, if anybody knows somebody there. I mean, Emerald built those soccer fields and has built other athletic facilities across town for the sole purpose of doing exactly that and getting soccer specifically, but now they've kind of shifted into volleyball and even lacrosse. Why isn't Ultimate should be in on that fourth one there, right? Like, it's just as easy to pull a frisbee out there as it is to throw a soccer ball on the same field.
I live in pretty low income Lonsdale, and we got some Emerald Youth Fields that are friggin' dope. Huh? Yeah, Lonsdale. So those fields, as you guys as my Lonsdale folks know, they are always teeming with people in the neighborhood going out and playing. And most of the time it's just people doing pickup soccer and stuff. I bet you if we, kind of like what you said, if we just kind of rotate and like, hey, we're gonna do one in Lonsdale, or we're gonna do one in East Knox, or we're gonna do one here, and you consistently go there, eventually some of those kids who will add to the diversity will eventually be like, shoot, I think I can play Ultimate Frisbee, and then we get to sky the paints off.
And then soccer won't be taking up all our field space all across town.
Yeah.
Could we have a position on the board with the responsibility of creating community ties and starting initiatives like this?
Yes, you can.
Sure.
I
believe it's
Are you volunteering?
That's the answer. Man, you walked right out of that. Hey, Ben, I believe you can go to tinyurl.com/.
And we have talked about that idea. We love that idea. We've kicked around the idea of adding a couple positions to the board, kind of based on the strengths of the people who want to come join the board. But community engagement is a big one. I know Joe has done a lot of that for us in the past, connecting with local businesses. Through Rhonda Kerr, he got us hooked up. We actually did a workshop for PE teachers for Knox County schools, where we went and actually, like, in their pre-planning during the summer, we taught them how to teach Ultimate in PE, which was a ton of fun. I think it's an initiative we'd probably like to implement again. But yes, we do want people who are community minded, and we would love to have a position on the board devoted to that.
Yeah. To follow on that, if you know someone, if your friend works at Emerald Youth, if your friend is a Knox County school teacher, what?
I heard it. Yep.
If your friend works somewhere, if you work somewhere like that, who can make a connection, even if you don't want to be a board member, shoot us an email. Because us cold calling these people is brutal. The response rate is like less than 10%. And so, which is A, a ton of time, and B, discouraging as heck. So if you know someone and get the foot in the door, any of these places, oh my gosh, please.
You know what, I'll tell you what, I didn't know that was something that you guys have been wanting. Man, dude, I'm sitting on a stack of names and people of different businesses and different groups like that. Like, you need an in on the Boys and Girls Club? Man, I'm in the top.
Do we have an opportunity to take what happened tonight and when you guys get feedback or things like that, to have like an FAQ page on the Knox Ultimate website to say, like,
I think.
If I'm a sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
Oh, like to say, you know, I'm new to Ultimate, how do I learn? Or I know some people that might be helpful, like put the questions on there that you actually want guys to ask. Like, I know someone who has field space, should I talk to somebody? Is my information valuable? You know, like, I don't know, put it out there.
Your information is valuable, Kate.
Thank you.
It is 9:45 to 10, so I'm gonna call it as the moderator. One thing I just want everybody to keep in mind is that this is a board of 5 people. We had so many fantastic, and I really like fucking dynamite ideas, and I thought I was a big idea guy, and you guys really blew me away with so many of these outstanding thoughts that were way outside of my scope. I'm assuming that it was outside of your guys' too. these things will take time to implement. Some of these changes can maybe be done quickly. Some of them are going to take a while. So, patience, understanding, and if it is something that you really are passionate about or really care about or really think that you can help, they'll take it. These guys they'll take your help. So it'll help grow the community and everything else. Yes?
One last comment. A big, big thank you to the board for all of this time. Not being paid, just because I care about the sport and the community. And thank you for the moderator.
So handsome.
Thank you guys for coming tonight.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for coming.
Grab some pizza on your way out.
And drinks, pizza drinks.